Happy May Day, everybody. Happy May Day. Yeah. We here. We celebrating together in solidarity, and we mad as hell because May Day is us waving our flag to the world saying we don't accept this. We need to work together. We need a coalition that looks like us, who is the underclassmen, not the capitalists. We are the people that are steering the ship. This is why we are here, in the belly of the beast, which is the ship. We want to welcome you to Local 10, the Longshoremen Hiring Hall. This is where we get our jobs from. This is where we do our meetings. This is where we do our everything. So thank you all for coming and participating and being here, and let's get to work and let the world know that we are here, we are real people, and we exist, and we want to keep on living. So let's listen to some music from our strong musician here, Mr. Stout. Mike Stout.
Pat Fahey.
From Pat Fahey and his comrade. Pittsburgh, who can't be stronger than the steel in Pittsburgh? He come out here from Pittsburgh, PA. So this the whole United States from coast to coast, 3,000 miles. Let's go. Mr. Mike Stout.
Hello, San Francisco. Greetings from Pittsburgh, PA, and the United Steelworkers and Pittsburgh Musicians Union. I don't know about you, but when I look around the room, you know what I see? I see the working class. Inside the factories, out in the street, every place where the working heart beats, together in each, we are the working class. At the machines, out in the fields, down in the mines or serving the meals, behind the wheel, we are the working class. We are the working class. Putting out the fires, dying in their wars, slaving in the sweatshop, scrubbing the floors, doing the dirty chores. We are the working class. We are the working class. We got the numbers, we got the clout, we got the power to straighten this mess out. All we need is each other, my friend. Let's start talking, stop all the barking, get this movement rocking again. 2, 3, 4. Every color, language, and creed, men and women of every nationality, them and you and me, we are the working class, you and me. We are the working class, you and me. We are the working class, you and me. Oh yeah. You and me, oh yeah.
Calm down just one little bit so that we can hear more voice.
Check 1, 2. You ready? I'd like to do a little song for you. Everybody here knows when there's hard times, for the working class, hard times are fighting times. White collar, blue collar, pink collar mass, we're all sinking real fast. Every single day they're taking our rights away. The first to go is the working class. Crawling on my knees ain't my cup of tea. I prefer to kick a little ass because the hard times are fighting time for me. What they say? Hard times are fighting times for you and me. Woo! Times are hard enough in what they call prosperity. Now I'll be damned if my belt is gonna tighten. Let the seats on Wall Street do the bullet biting. Got a hard time of fighting time, baby. Hard time of fighting time, baby. Hard time of fighting time. Better be fighting time. Get up off your butts and fighting time for you and me. Ah, for you and me. Well, the 40 million poor who cannot afford a bed in a hospital ward. With so much wealth in this land, you know I don't understand. Well, we all care to health care and more. Send my medical bills up the Capitol Hill. That's what my tax money's for. Because a hard time, a fighting time for me. What they say? Hard times are fighting times for you and me. Woo! Times are hard enough in what they call prosperity. Now I'll be damned if my belt is gonna tighten. Let some politician do the bullet biting. Got a hard time of fighting time, baby. Hard time of fighting time, baby. Hard time of fighting time. Better be fighting time. Get up off your butts and fighting time for you and me. Ah, for you and me. Yeah, yeah, for you and me. Ah, for you and me. Oh, well, I lost my job. I fell off my horse. They took my house. I had to get a divorce. I'm on my last dollar. Got holes in my shoes. Might as well holler. I got nothing to lose. Go on, Patty. Oh, well, the whole damn corporate system is a mess. It's in rotten decay. And they want the poor and working class to pay the penalty. I said, get up out of bed, wake up the dead, 'cause it's a brand new day. Because a hard times are fighting time for me. Come on, let me hear it now, people. Hard times are fighting times for you and me. Woo! Times are hard enough in what they call prosperity. you, brothers and sisters. I love you.
So we had to break it in with the international voice, which is music. Food and music, that's the international language everybody will agree to. So let's kick off our program. We are inside the heart of the ILWU, once again, the International Longshoremen Warehousing Union. This is Local 10, so none other than Local 10's president will introduce us and accept our being here. And let's bring him up, the one and only Mr. Farless Pete Daly, International Longshoremen Warehouse Union president of Local 10.
I'm just here to welcome everybody. We appreciate you coming out on May Day. Thank you very much. And our house is your house right now, all right? I'm gonna turn it over to Brother Trent Willis. Brother Willis?
All right, welcome everyone, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Trent Willis. I'm the immediate past president of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union Local 10, and I'm currently the business agent for this local now. Okay, so my brother president, he's a good friend of mine. He's a man of few words. Okay, so that's why he called me up here to say a few words. And I'm not going to say a whole lot of words. I know those of you who maybe seen me speak places before. I see some of my friends out there. I'm usually long-winded, okay, but the music sounds so good, and the day and the celebration feels so right that I'm going to keep it short, okay? I just want us all to remember what this day really means, okay? This is the real Labor Day in America, okay? That Labor Day in September, I'm not going to say it's fake, but what I will say is that that holiday was pushed here to get our focus off of this day. Because this day is the day that's celebrated all around the world. And you know what else? In 1886, this day started here. So you got to ask yourself, how did we in America start celebrating a whole nother Labor Day that's like 6 months away from this day? That was done on purpose so that you would not celebrate with the rest of the world. Can you imagine what that would do to world business? Can you imagine what that would do to the 1% of the population that owns over half of the wealth of the world? That's a potential for the whole world to be shut down for a day. That's a big threat, right? So this is why on your jobs, some of your unions, they don't support May Day. They don't come out and they don't help you support May Day. But this is what we gotta do. This local used to be like that until members like me came in here and said, hey, we want to celebrate May Day, okay? And we want to do it every year. Okay. And you'll see a lot of our members enjoying themselves outside, you know, leisuring around and hanging out, because the Port of Oakland is not working right now, which is sending a very clear message every year when we do this. We want our holidays because our holidays mean something to us, okay? Our brothers and sisters died in the streets for us to celebrate and have this holiday. And we must never forget that, just like the ILWU never forgets those soldiers that died out here in the 34 strike. Every worker who has given their lives for the labor movement should be celebrated just as much as a soldier going and fighting in a war. This is serious business. So with that said, I'd like to once again thank each and every one of you for coming out and blessing us today with your presence in our hall that we're so proud of. And don't think this is the only year this is going to happen. This is going to happen next year, the year after, the year after, the year after, and the year after, and the year after. Okay? And in closing, we are ready to fight, and you're damn right. Okay? So we're also pushing for the Juneteenth holiday. That's coming up the month after next. Okay? So Local 10 has made the commitment to do the same thing for the Juneteenth holiday. We're going to be shutting down every year. Okay? Right. Thank you. So, once again, we look forward to seeing you for the Juneteenth holiday as one of our contract demands. We're in contract negotiations right now, so we'd like all of your support for that. And the Juneteenth holiday is one of our demands, that we want that to be an off-day holiday, okay? Thank you. So we're gonna have a big celebration on Juneteenth here, okay? And we want all of you to come, you're all invited. Okay, so welcome to Local 10, power to the people, power to the people.
Power to the people, said by one of the best. Power to the people. That was Buster Trent Willis, Local 10. I guess you would call him a centerpiece for our union and history and going forward. I was told to remind people, so we salute each other by saying power to the people. And some people get confused with that, because when we say power to the people, we mean power to the people. Power to you, power to me, power to our families. Power to the people is we actually have the power, because like they say, this is a working class holiday. And I don't know about you, comrades, but I've been under attack all my life. My taxes are way beyond what I receive in income. So that's just to start the minutia that we've been standing on. So power to the people, and I was told to remind people that what does this really mean? This is me. This is you. This is us. This is some of us. This is all of us. And the power is in us together. With that being said, nothing is more us than the SEIU 1021 VP Brendan Dawkins, who represents not only the foreman of Starbucks and all fast food organizations. We are boots on the ground. This is a boots on the ground rally. This is our flag saying we are here, deal with us, let's go Brendan.
Brothers and sisters, good afternoon. Man, it is great to be in the house of ILWU today. It is International Workers' Day today. I am just happy to be here. This Union Hall in particular brings me a lot of joy when I stand here, because when I'm standing here, I'm knowing that when I'm out there and we're organizing, we are standing on the shoulders of greats like Leroy King, who was right here from this Union Hall. So we are here to actually carry out his legacy. Now, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about, the fast food organizing we be doing, Starbucks in particular, Pete's in particular. Brothers and sisters, SEIU Local 1021, we are partnered with Starbucks Workers United to have those organizing conversations with those baristas or those Starbucks partners. Brothers and sisters, we don't win this fight alone. It takes those worker-to-worker conversations because they are the ones that are on the job every day. They're the ones that are suffering through it, so they're the ones that are responsible for having those conversations with each other, and they're organizing, and they are building a movement to meet the moment. Brothers and sisters, we have some Starbucks organizers here down with SEIU 1021, so raise your hand if you are here. Brother Tim is over there. A couple of others are around here. But these are the boots on the ground that is responsible for helping Starbucks get these wins, the Starbucks workers to get these wins, because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to fight back those corporate giants to get what the hell we need for the workers. Brothers and sisters, please understand something. These corporate giants, they don't eat by themselves. They eat because of us. It is our baristas that are showing up to work day to day. It was our baristas that are showing up to work dealing with the abuse. It is our baristas that are showing up to work getting a low pay. It is our baristas that are sleeping in their cars to make sure that these corporate giants are getting the billions in dollars that they're getting. But we need a fair share of that. The workers need a fair share of that. There's no reason why that anybody from Starbucks should be struggling to pay rent. There's no reason why that anybody from Starbucks should be sleeping in their cars. There's no reason why that a Starbucks worker should be living paycheck to paycheck. So damn it, if we gotta stand, if we gotta march, if we gotta fight, if we gotta get to the CEO's house to make our voices heard, to make it be known that we want those rights, we gonna do it, and we have done it with over 300 Starbucks in California. 300 Starbucks across the nation have decided that they want it better for themselves. Over 300 Starbucks across the nation decided that they want it better for each other as workers, and they organized and they fought, and we winning. Brothers and sisters, we stand on the shoulders of the Amazon workers who decided that they wanted to fight to have better for themselves. With that result, we also had a victory in Davis, California a couple of months ago with Pete's Coffee. The only Pete's Coffee that's organized and unionized in California happened right there in Davis a couple of months ago. Because those workers were fed up. Those workers said, we will no longer take shit from these corporations. These workers have decided that they wanted better pay. These workers have decided that they wanted better for each other. They organized, they fought, and they won. And we ain't stopping. But it's not only low-wage workers in the fast food industry that are organizing. Gig workers are organizing. Uber workers are organizing. Lyft workers are organizing. Instacart workers are organizing because they have a right to a union. Because it's the workers that help drive these corporations. And if we don't get what we want, we will shut it down. Brothers and sisters, before I take my seat, I just want to let y'all know that we ain't done. This is only the beginning. We stand on the shoulders of long labor history. This history is continuing with fast food. This history is continuing with gig. This history is continuing with low-wage workers. That we all deserve a right to a union. We all deserve a right to fair wages. We all deserve a right to better working conditions. We all deserve a right to feed our families. We will no longer take shit from these corporations. We are going to come together. We are going to stand together in solidarity, and we are going to fight back. Before I sit down, there's one more thing I gotta tell you. Because back in the day, I used to be a Starbucks worker. And I'll tell you, shit ain't always sweet at that corporation. Those workers gotta go to what they call a coffee school. They have to learn all the flavors from the continent. They have to taste all the coffee. Because their responsibility is to inform the customers on whether the coffee is bold, whether the coffee is sweet, whether the coffee is nutty. But I stand here, brothers and sisters, and tell you today that now there's another flavor to add, and that flavor is union. Brothers and sisters, please believe that when you go back into a Starbucks, the next time you order a coffee, the next time you go to a barista, tell them that your name is Union. Tell them that you want a coffee. Tell them you want an extra shot of solidarity. Because brothers and sisters, that's how we win. I like my coffee Union strong. So please, join us in the fight. Let them know that you support the baristas. Let them know that you support Starbucks workers. Order a coffee, tell them your name is Union. Order your coffee, tell them your name is Solidarity. Order your coffee, tell them your name is Union Strong. Because that's how we roll, and we will not stop until we unionize California.
These are precarious workers, people. Precarious We visit the city council, we visit Sacramento, the BCDC. Here it is, here 4 years later. The open aides have decided they've been defeated. They have to go. And it's because of labor. It's because of our community standing together. Organizing one way is no good. Organizing all the way benefits all of us. One of the things I can tell you guys about today, this is beautiful. To see what we got here today from all walks of life, we're here for the same purpose, right? Working class people is all we have. We don't care about the government and their shenanigans. They don't stop us. They can't stop us. If you look in the mirror every morning, you know it's about you and yours. We have to stand tall and long. We have been to Sacramento defending our terminals, our maritime industry. The city council has voted to give away our property. The mayor has made a decision to give away our property. This is what we work at. The only way a ship can moor is on the water, not dry land. And we have won this fight. Now we're looking about the turning bases. The vessels have gotten larger, larger, and larger. This is where the clothes on your back start from, the shoes on your feet, from a container from the overseas. Okay? There's not too many jobs in the United States that we can say are ours today. This is why we fight, to maintain what we have. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Give power to the people. How about that? We had capitalists trying to build on our land. And now they can take their capitalist butt and move wherever they can be accepted. They won't be accepted here. So I cannot let this day go on without mentioning our international representative here in the building, former local president here in Local 10. So we have not one, not two, not three kings, but 4 kings of the throne in this building today, and that's dead fair. Dead fair is our international representative right here in the building, Local 10. This man is, we are the Frank Dolphins. We are the kaleidoscope, if you will. My brother is next to me. He doesn't necessarily look like me, but he looks like me because he's a human being. People forget these things. I go on and on. So with that being said, because we do have a short agenda, this is a global celebration. And we have people here that fought against our apartheid in real time. Not when it was popular to say I was against apartheid. I'm talking about in real time. People like Dr. King were persecuted in real time. So we have some legends in the building. And Nelson Mandela was freed from some of the work and struggle of our people in this union, the working people. Fought against apartheid the best they could all the way from the West Coast. Nelson Mandela, when he was free, he made the world tour and made speeches, and one of those speeches was in Oakland, California, at the Oakland Coliseum, which was the home of the A's. I say that proudly because they can get on. But Nelson Mandela, he thanked the ILWU for their hard work in helping him be free and bring his country into a new regime of government. So let's listen to the man himself.
This is what I saw. It must be in there. Oh, got it. Just gotta type, guys. I know, I like that. Yeah. Or the whole, yeah.
Power to the people. Sometimes we lose a little bit of power with the electronic, but we still have strength. We still are here. Technical difficulties is like the world. We will still overcome this thing. So we send a delegation, and I say we, I mean the ILWU, and I say that very tentatively because I feel like there's no I and we. This is all of us in this room. We sent a delegation to South Africa to show an ongoing relationship between the unions to celebrate their being free of apartheid. They're still struggling, they're a new country. But to show that we are here and we can still work together on global issues and show the solidarity between not only us, but them and other unions across the globe. We also met with the National Union of Metal Workers South Africa, which is the largest union in South Africa, I believe in Africa, passing 365,000 members. With that meeting, we also agreed that political prisoners should not be jailed and housed in incarceration. Quote unquote, freedom via and free all people locked up unjustly. I don't know about you, but my forefathers came in here in prison as slaves. I'm the child of a prisoner who was a slave. So anyone that does not connect with that, we don't even want any parts of it. And that's not, you don't have to be a slave to have compassion for a slave. If you have compassion for anything, then you have compassion for that, and you will work with people. With that being said, let's bring up a delegate, and we want to bring up a few of them, and we'll keep it really short. We want to bring the delegate of freedom fighters that went to South Africa and represented this country. People call it the United States of America. I call it the divided States of America because it is broken up. But this people in here are union people, not union buses, union men and women and children. So let's bring up Jack David, who went to South Africa and represented this country, and represented the union. Jack David, and Jack David, I mean, he lived for all. This man been fighting since Snake. This man was fighting Stolen Carmichael. This man went from Stolen Carmichael from New York to the segregated South to the West Coast, and is still fighting. This man flew 24 hours on a plane with pneumonia and fought for his freedom. So the legacy is living.
It was almost 40 years ago that this local voted to take strike action against the next ship that came in from South Africa. And that motion was put forward by Alcatraz, who's still alive today. He's 97 years old. And the membership voted unanimously. Now, you can't just come before a membership meeting and make a motion and expect it to pass. There's a lot of groundwork that's done before sweatshirt today because Local 21 represents the best in the ILWU. A dozen years ago, the monopolistic grain companies up in Longview tried to, well, they built a new grain facility there. And they weren't going to hire longshoremen. They were going to hire the operating engineers, a union which has a history of excluding women and blacks and minorities from their membership. And so we put up picket lines there. The longshoremen actually occupied that facility. You don't see that much. It's like occupied. Then they were also sitting down on the railroad tracks. Now, when's the last time we heard something like that? We blocked scab trains from coming into the port in Longview. And the company went out and got an injunction against the union. So what happened, I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Salt of the Earth, but when the men who were the liners got an injunction against their union, the women went out and occupied the facility. They blocked the railroad tracks themselves. That's what's called class struggle. And we are proud to maintain that kind of history today. I just wanted to conclude with one last thing on the ILWU is now in contract negotiations. We've been in contract negotiations for almost a year now. And in my opinion, the leadership made a serious mistake going into negotiations. President Biden, who says he's the most pro-labor president in the history of the country, bullshit. He imposed the contract on the railroad workers and would not let them strike. That's Biden's role. And when we had that grain strike that I was talking about, the way they broke it with, besides the injunction, they had a scab ship coming into port. And the United States government of Obama and Biden had an armed Coast Guard cutter escort that ship into the dock in Longview. The leadership collapsed under that pressure, and unfortunately, the action was all over. In the long run, we maintained our jurisdiction because of the militancy of the rank and file. That's what we need today. If the ports along the West Coast find it in their wherewithal to withhold their labor, there's nothing more powerful than the coastline strike, except a nationwide strike. And the ILA on the East Coast should be joining us and not working cargo that's diverted to the East Coast. So with that, I'll say we keep an eye on what happens on the coast here, because the rank and file is the deciding force. If you have a chance, Google the 10 guiding principles of the ILWU, and you will see that it's the most democratic set of principles for trade unions. It says that the rank and file is in control of the union. It says if your union official tells you to cross a picket line, you don't cross the picket line. Picket line is not crossed. And we're losing some of that history today. So we need to stand by those 10 guiding principles. Class struggle is still alive. Unleash the rank and file, and let's shut down the coast. Thank you.
slavery was protected part of the law in this country. Black people or Africans was captured and brought over here for the purpose of labor. So the ILWU and the black people in the ILWU have a history with labor in this country and a history with ships. We both got a connection to the ships and to the labor we brought here to work for free. Now, we have gotten a long way. Like May is workers unite. You know, we all try to get it better for us worldwide. And we just want to let everybody know that the ILWU is here to support labor worldwide. We went to Africa. I'm one of the delegates that went to Africa. We went back to Africa to support the 50th anniversary of the strike, the Durban strikes of South Africa against apartheid. We learned a lot out there about striking and about power of the people when they stick together. There's always a difference who you are, what color you are. Our motto is an entry to one is an entry to all.
local for 23 years. I came in 2000, and we call them old timers, like Jack Hayden, Clarence Thomas. There are retirees, and we call them old timers. And me coming up through the ranks, I learned a lot from them. Not just talking with them, but watching and saw how they did things. And I was fortunate enough to really get educated, because I put myself there to be educated in this local. I've served as different committees, still on committees. I was elected their first woman BA. I was a weekend BA back in 2006. Their first woman chief dispatcher. That was in 2010. Now was elected as their first woman vice president of this local. It says a lot, and it means a lot to me, because the members, the rank and file members, are the ones who vote. So I thank them for voting for me and having that support of knowing of me being able to get the job done. So with that being said, I was honored to be able to go to South Africa in January. And it was about their 50th commemoration of their apartheid struggle. And that was my first trip to South Africa. And when I got there, I was just very overwhelmed of the feeling of not at the airport, but when I came out of the airport and smelled the air. It was just something that came over me, like I was supposed to be there, and I should be there. And it was just overwhelming, but it was a good feeling. And I guess, they say your ancestors speak to you in many, many ways. And that's how I felt while I was there. When you hear in the States and you hear what other people say, how, our people are treated here because we were born here and not there. A lot of the stigma of us not being welcome, that was totally not true. Not true at all. We were welcome fully, and just the going and partaking in the festivities there, and we didn't get a chance to really meet a lot of the dock workers, because their whole system is set up totally different, and we just were there. They knew we were there to support them, and it was a learning experience for me. I'm always keeping my ears and eyes open to learn. Never stop learning. Never stop learning, because you may miss something. You may miss something in the process of that. So throughout my career here, I'm going to continue on doing what I need to do here for my brothers and sisters that's coming behind me, to educate them. Because without education and knowing about labor and knowing about your union and what we stand for, you don't have nothing. So here, if you don't know your rights, you don't have nothing. And that's how I felt when I was in South Africa, because the pay is very, very minimal compared to what we get here in the States. And the people there, they just want the support. And they were just so overwhelmingly happy to know that we came there in solidarity, and we bridged that solidarity gap, that time being there, because it's not just local, state to state. We talk about worldwide solidarity and coming together. We as working class people, all of us, we have to come together and work for the common good of us, brothers and sisters. We call everybody brothers and sisters. You're my brothers and sisters, even though you're not my local, but you're still my brothers and sisters. Yeah. So with that being said, join in and keep your local up and moving and educating. So that's what I do. I motivate everybody, and I motivate the sisters as well, because we got a conference coming in July, and I got to speak on this called Women on the Waterfront.
Right.
And men are welcome as well, because we all can learn from each other. So men, come on and register and come to the conference. It's going to be here in San Francisco. It is Happy Bridget's birthday weekend. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, July 28th, 29th, and 30th at the Hyatt Regency here in San Francisco. So that's what my goal is while I'm here. I want to leave this local in a good place and better than where it was given to you a greeting. Saludos, o solidaridad. From the Bay Administration Administration District, so that administration, regardless of being a national, we went to see it's a group of community organizations and individuals that have continued fighting for human rights for many years, decades now. And the main purpose of that demonstration was to celebrate May Day, but also to put a notice in the question of immigrant rights situation.
someone that has brought community up across the globe. I think he just got back from Japan, and he keeps the fight and the struggle real. The one and only Mr. Steve Zelson.
I just returned to Japan. Actually, I spoke at an anti-war rally against the Ukraine war because the United States is telling Japan that they should militarize. They should spend their money on war instead of taking care of their own people. And in Japan, they have trains that run. They have a bullet train that runs all over the country. And here, we can't get a bullet train from San Francisco to Los Angeles. That tells you the problems we have in capitalist America. So today we're in May Day, and I want to say this should be brought up. The mayor of San Francisco and the governor of Alcatraz says they're going to deal with the fentanyl crisis by bringing in the National Guard and the Highway Patrol to San Francisco today on May Day. What? Is that a coincidence? What? The National Guard and the Highway Patrol to deal with the healthcare crisis? I say open up the hospitals. Yeah. Open the roofs for them. This is what we should do. The government in this country, Democrats, Republicans, as we pointed out earlier, represent the billionaires. Yes. We have a $97 billion surplus in California, and we have UC workers and public workers who are in starvation wages, living in their cars. What kind of country is that in the richest state in the world? The reason it happens is the working class of the unions have to unite. We have the power as they had in 1934 when they shut San Francisco down. There's struggles now of the UPS workers, Teamsters. Their contract comes up on August 1st. The auto workers struggle comes up, all the auto workers. And when we talk about international, about making the Mexican auto workers also have to fight. We need united strikes of workers around the world with the Mexican and US auto workers. That's how we organize the South. Bring all the workers together. That is the power of the working class. And the obstacles to that, because in the United States you have business unionism, you have corporate unionism, you got to follow the law. The NLRB says you have to wait 2 or 3 years before they decide maybe you've been illegally fired. And the workers at Tesla, 700 of them were fired by Elon Musk. But Elon Musk and the billionaires seem to be above the law. They don't enforce the law when it comes to workers' rights. We have to change that by organizing on the job. We have to change it by making up workers international. We're fighting the same multinationals. And I want to say a word about the situation of the workers in Namibia, because they are also facing a dire May. One thing about slave labor is it was under contract labor. Workers were contract labor. They were part-time, they had no seniority, and they worked in the mines, and they worked throughout the country, but they didn't have unions. They didn't have strong unions. The struggle to get the product was a struggle to break contract labor. And in South Africa, they have nationalized railways, they have nationalized industries, and those have been privatized under the ANC government. What you have in Namibia is Namibia has been bought up. The mines, the uranium mines, and the marble mines have been bought up by Chinese public and private companies. Now, those miners 3 years ago were fired for leadership in the Namibian mining regime by the Chinese company, Chinese National Nuclear Corporation, who said that they should cover their healthcare benefits, who were bringing in foreign workers to replace them. We as workers have to say, we defend workers all over the world. Regardless of where they are. There are no workers in this world, and we have to unite the workers all over the world on May Day to fight for solidarity, to fight for joint action. The struggle here is the struggle the same in South Africa.
very important to understand what's happening in agriculture today. I'm a member of the Filipino Farmers Cooperative.
Yeah.
I don't come up to the city very often anymore in our planting season. But, you know, the prediction today is that within 5 to 7 years, more and more people in this country believe we're into war. A horrible round war. And it's very clear in the Central Valley that the way the capitalists and the ruling class are going to shape this war is going to try to make it a race war. Today, there are more guns in this country than there are people. And you want to see the face of it, we come to the Central Valley. How I got Devin Nunes's list, I don't know, but he sends me these emails and he's saying that there's Chinese that are invading the U.S. through the Mexican border. And it's this kind of racist and ultra-nationalist propaganda that's going to fuel this war. And so when I see folks like this coming together, I said, what are we doing to prepare for the war that's on us? Now, the war has already been here. They had already declared war. The capitalists have declared war on us. Okay? That's why we're now into the essentials. Okay? Real estate, housing, education, health, and now it's going to be food. It's going to be so expensive to buy food. And this is what I want to tell you. Very. You know, when I went to Pennsylvania last year, and you see the Rust Belt, and you wonder how did millions of workers find out that they had no jobs. Factories closed down, manufacturing plants closed down, and the U.S. government, our government, just stood by. Didn't do anything, right?
Right.
Didn't do anything. And that's how the Rust Belt was created, because capitalism wants short-term profit, and it's going to go anywhere. It does not recognize borders, right? It doesn't recognize borders, it's going to go anywhere. Well, that's fundamental change that happened in the industrial sector in this country is now underway in the agricultural sector. And that's one of the key reasons why the U.S. government tries to restrict, labor. Workers who are coming in from the Americas, from Central Mexico, because it doesn't need any more workers in agriculture in this country, because the agricultural corporations are going south. Right? In 20 years, there's not going to be any more snow in the Sierras. Our water table is collapsing, and we're not going to have any groundwater. So, agribusiness knows this already. It's eating, it's packing up, it's going. So what does that mean for the cost of food commodities in this country? Right? This is really where fascism begins. Because when workers can't afford the basic necessities of life, right? Can't afford education, can't afford health care, can't afford a house, can't afford transportation. Now can't afford food because it's not going to be grown anymore. I'm a little farmer, 20 acres. I'm surrounded by big ag, and let me tell you, they pump water 24/7, but they're saying bye. We're going south, but there's a lot of water. We're going to Hawaii, where there's a lot of water. We're saying bye. So I want to say this. I know this is about organized labor, but we need, as rank and file, to look at union leadership and say, where are the organizing drives? Where's the money to organize? Where is that money? Agricultural workers today, 98%
regret not being able to join you in person today as you celebrate the most important holiday for workers. On this day, we know that in every country in the world, workers are marching and demonstrating their unity. I so loved marching with you down Market Street and participating in the rally last year as we were emerging from more than 2 years of pandemic seclusion, and we're discussing such issues as the ongoing struggle to free Mumia Abu Jamal. The DA recall election had not yet taken place, and we were discussing how to support Chesabuddin. At that time, we were experiencing the beginnings of coordinated efforts to push back the ideological gains associated with the anti-racist movements of the last years, and especially since the police lynchings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and others during the summer of 2020. Let us not forget that since that period, vast numbers of people have begun to publicly associate themselves with efforts to challenge racism, from community and campus organizations to unions and artist alliances. At the same time, we have been witnessing renewed efforts to organize unions, especially in the aftermath of the recognition that essential workers in our country consist overwhelmingly of people of color. Chris Small's leadership of the new Amazon Union emphasizes the centrality of fighting racism, as do the organizers of the Starbucks Union. And one of those organizers spoke at the rally last year. The right-wing attacks on progressive achievements in the form of efforts to remove Black and queer studies from school curricula and the attempted demonization of critical race theory represent conservative attempts to push back victories in anti-racist and working-class movements. The right wing is desperately trying to regain the offensive. They are afraid of what the massive response to the police murders of the summer of 2020 may mean for the future. ILWU Local 10 still takes the prize when it comes to radical activism among unions. And I need to tell you that I will never cease to be a proud honorary member of this union. The history of ILWU demonstrates how unions can push radical agendas and lead us in the direction of victory. I can personally attest to the role Local 10 played in the development of the international campaign that led to my freedom. As a matter of fact, the very union hall where you are presently gathered was the site of one of the very first Free Angela rallies in 1970. I will be forever grateful to the union. And I deeply appreciate the fact that you are still engaged in advocacy for the freedom of Mumia Abu Jamal and other political prisoners. And in this context, I want to say a few words about the campaign that is currently underway, calling for the release of Rochelle McGee, who was my co-defendant during the early days of my case. Rochelle was first arrested when he was 16. Now he is 84 and has been behind bars for the entire time, with the exception of a few months of freedom. I urge you to join us as we advocate for the compassionate release of Ruchell McGee. He has lived an entire life in California's prisons and has already experienced what is known as death by incarceration. He should be allowed to spend the remainder of his life in freedom. There are so many issues that deserve to be mentioned. For example, the war in Ukraine. Why are prominent Democrats opposed to calls to end this war and its potential for nuclear confrontation? We cannot be deluded by their insistence that the war has to be won rather than ended as soon as possible. We still need a peace movement to end the war in Ukraine. These are just a few of the issues we should be thinking about on this day. So let me once again wish you a happy May 1st, and let us feel the powerful resonances of working class unity that are echoing throughout the world.
Which is the Alcatraz Terminal for the IBU.
women are very powerful and confident because they master the equipment. But back to the beginning, Harry Bridges traveled from Australia at the age of 16 years old with a dream to create this union. And in 1934, the pigs shot men in the back like modern day. That's why there's Bloody Thursday, July 5th of every year. My mother picked the cotton in the valley, agriculture valley. All these guests that came up, the capitalists in Half-Moon Bay with multi-million-dollar homes. The proprietors of those businesses, no doubt, are multi-millionaires of organic mushrooms on the back of the field workers. To this day, in Half-Moon Bay. And this despicable city that I've grown up in, with all these kids on the street, and I don't see no help. Deep in the Mission, Noe Valley, everywhere there's tents. But that's all over the United States and the Bay Area, and it's despicable. It's despicable what this place has become, the fancy place to be, multi-million-dollar homes, and the children on the street, because they came here to try to find themselves. I know this for a doubt. But beautiful, man, the capitalism that exists today. We were shut down in 2002. They accused us of slowing down. It was the lockout. The photos are on the back wall over there. The capitalists continue to capitalize. But there's a saying from my brother here, Sean. We are all we got. We are all we got. So, I say this. I believe we have to stand strong together and be prepared to be militant in the modern day. Because it's us or them.
Right, yeah.
It's us or them.
Yeah.
Hey, power to the people. Power to
Christmas, right?